The twin suns of Verican Prime rose over jagged mountains, casting long, sharp shadows across the alien city. Towers of dark metal and glass reflected the early light, and the wind carried whispers of ancient secrets. Commander Riken stood at the edge of the cliff, his eyes scanning the horizon. His scaled hands clenched into fists as the first rays of the suns touched his armor. For centuries, the Verican had been warriors and protectors, but now he felt a fear he had never known before. Riken's race carried a curse, a blood curse older than memory. Any Verican who found a true bondmate would be doomed to destroy them under the full glow of the twin suns. It was not punishment, it was a warning, a chain woven into their very DNA by enemies long gone. He had been trained to fight, to survive, to conquer, but love, real, pure, and human, was a danger he could not fight. The soft hum of a ship broke the silence. Riken's head snapped toward the sound. A small human craft was landing in the lower valley, its metal hull glinting in the sunlight. Humans rarely came here, and when they did, it was almost always trouble. But this was not a raid. This was a mission, and he knew who it carried. Dr. Ilara Miles stepped out of the ship, her boots crunching against the stone. She was a human xenobiologist, sent by Earth to negotiate peace after the Orion conflict. She was not just intelligent, she was brave. And the moment Riken first saw her, he felt something stir in his chest, something he had buried long ago. Her eyes, calm yet curious, scanned the alien landscape with no fear. Her long hair shimmered like sunlight on water, and the simple lines of her suit carried an elegance that no armor could match. Riken moved closer, keeping to the shadows. He needed to see her without being seen. He had been alone for so long, believing solitude kept him safe, from his enemies, from the war, from the curse. But this human, she made him doubt everything. Ilara stopped at the edge of the landing platform. She turned her head slightly as if sensing something. "I know you're there," she said softly. Her voice carried across the valley, gentle yet firm. "I've read about you, Riken. The Verican warrior, the hero of your people, and I know the truth about the curse." Riken's heart pounded in his chest. How could she know? Humans rarely understood the complexities of his race, the depth of their struggles, and yet here she was, speaking the very words he had kept locked inside. He stepped forward from the shadows. "You should leave," he said, his voice low and dangerous. "This place is not for humans." Ilara's gaze did not waver. "I am not afraid," she replied. "I need to understand you and your people. I need to see the truth for myself." Riken's instincts screamed at him to push her away, to hide the truth of the curse from her. But he could not. Not anymore. He moved closer, letting the sunlight reveal the faint glow of markings along his arms, an omen that the curse was stirring. "The curse," he began, his voice heavy with warning. "It will destroy anyone I bond with, anyone I care for. If you stay here, you will not survive." Ilara tilted her head, studying him carefully. "I do not care about curses," she said. "I care about you. That is all that matters." Riken froze. Those words, simple and human, carried a weight that no alien weapon could match. He wanted to believe them, but he knew the truth. The curse was stronger than any armor, any training, any oath. He had seen what it did to Verican warriors before him. Love became death. Hope became ashes, and yet he could not look away from her. The wind rose, carrying the scent of alien flowers and metal, and Riken's instincts flared. The markings on his arms pulsed faintly. The curse was awakening. His chest tightened, and a low growl escaped his throat. He could not let this human touch him, not yet. Ilara stepped closer, ignoring the warning in his eyes. "Then teach me," she said. "Teach me how to survive your world. Teach me how to survive you." For the first time, Riken hesitated. He wanted to run, to flee to the mountains and leave her behind. But the pull of her courage, the unwavering trust in her eyes, stopped him. Slowly, cautiously, he extended his hand. She did not flinch. She took it, her fingers brushing against his scales. The moment their hands touched, a shock ran through Riken's body. The markings on his arms glowed brighter, veins of crimson light spreading across his skin. The curse had sensed a bond forming. He pulled back sharply, fear twisting his face. "You felt it," he said, voice trembling. "The curse is real. It knows you." Ilara did not pull away. Instead, she pressed her hand to his chest over the glowing runes. "Then we face it together," she whispered. "If this is your curse, then I will meet it with open arms." "I will not run." Riken staggered back, the power of the curse thrumming through him. He could feel it trying to take control, trying to force him into violence, into instinct. He had never felt anything like this. The curse was ancient, cruel, and relentless, but here was a human who refused to flee. She faced it without fear. The twin suns climbed higher, bathing the city in golden light. Riken's mind raced. The curse demanded death, but her courage offered a choice. It was a battle of wills, one he had never fought before. He had fought wars, hunted enemies, faced death countless times, but he had never fought to protect someone from himself. For hours they stood there. Neither spoke much, letting the silence grow heavy with tension. Riken could see the determination in her eyes, the steady calm that refused to break even as his own body reacted violently to the awakening curse. And slowly he began to understand something new. This human was not afraid. Not of him. Not of the curse. Not of the destiny written in alien blood. And in that understanding something stirred deep in Riken's heart, a warmth, a feeling he had thought impossible. Finally, as the first full light of the suns touched the valley, Riken spoke. "You are brave," he said quietly, almost to himself, "and dangerous. I have fought many battles, yet none as perilous as this one." Alara smiled faintly. "Then we will fight it together," she said. "I will not let fear dictate my choices. Not now, not ever." Riken's pulse quickened. The curse hummed in his veins, reacting to their bond. He could feel it tugging, pulling, trying to claim her before she even knew its full strength. He clenched his fists, trying to resist, trying to contain the power that surged within him. He could not. And yet, he did not push her away. Because in a world filled with wars, curses, and impossible choices, he had found something he had never believed possible. A human willing to meet him. Fully, completely without fear. The twin suns reached their peak. The markings on Riken's arms flared one last time, the blood curse recognizing that a choice had been made. And for the first time in centuries, the Varakan curse encountered something it could not destroy. Unyielding human courage. Riken looked at her, fear and hope warring in his gaze. "If I ever claim you as mine," he began, voice trembling, "I will kill you." Ilara's eyes filled with tears, but her voice was steady. "Then I will face you. I will remind you who you are before the curse does." And in that moment, as the twin suns shone above, the first battle was not one of strength or weapons. It was one of trust, courage, and a bond that neither human nor alien could yet fully understand. For Riken, it was only the beginning. The curse was awake, and it would not wait. The ruins of Korath Keep rose from the jagged cliffs like the skeleton of an ancient beast. Blackened stone towers jutted into the sky, their surfaces scarred by centuries of storms and war. The air was heavy with silence, broken only by the distant hum of machinery from the human ship that had followed Riken across the valley. Riken did not want her here. He had fled into these ruins to isolate himself, to contain the curse before it could claim Alara. Every step he took through the crumbling hallways echoed like a warning. The curse pulsed in his veins, stronger than ever, its dark rhythm beating in sync with the twin suns above. Every movement he made his claws itch, his teeth ache, and his instincts scream. He thought of her face, the calm, determined eyes of Alara, and clenched his fists. He wanted to protect her, to shield her from the ancient force that had tormented generations of Varakan. And yet she was coming. She always came. From the shadows of the ruined keep she emerged. Dust clung to her suit and a faint streak of sweat ran down her forehead, but her eyes were steady, unwavering. "I'm not leaving," she said simply, stepping closer through the broken archways. "I came to understand, and I will stay until I do." Riken's claws flexed, torn between fear and desire. He wanted to lash out, to push her away for her own safety, but the truth was simpler and more terrifying. He could not. Her courage anchored him, holding him in a way no chain ever could. "You don't understand," he said, voice low and tense. "The curse does not forgive. It does not wait. It will make me destroy anyone I bond with, anyone I care for. You are not safe here." Ilara tilted her head, walking closer despite the warning in his tone. "I understand more than you think," she said. "You are strong, Riken. You have survived battles, enemies, even wars. But this is not something you face alone. I will face it with you." The curse stirred, sensing her resolve. Riken's chest heaved as crimson veins glowed beneath his skin. The power within him surged uncontrollably. His fangs lengthened, teeth sharp and cruel, and his claws extended, scratching the stone floor. He growled, Low and dangerous, the sound vibrating through the ruins. "You must leave," he warned again. But there was a tremor in his voice, a tremor that betrayed fear he had never admitted to anyone. Alara did not flinch. Instead, she reached out, placing her hand over his. The moment their skin touched, the curse roared, trying to take control. Riken's body convulsed. He wanted to pull away, to run, to tear himself free, but her touch held him in place. "I will not run," she said firmly, her eyes locked on his. "If you are bound by this curse, then we face it together. I trust you, Riken." For the first time, he hesitated. He had never felt a bond like this, one that could challenge the ancient forces within him. The curse howled, but her courage countered it. A human heartbeat standing firm against a tide of alien power. The ruins themselves seemed to respond. Faint glows appeared along the carvings etched into the stone walls, ancient runes pulsing as if recognizing the defiance in Riken's bloodline. He stumbled back, his claws digging into the cold stone. He could feel the curse testing him, pushing him toward instinct, toward violence. Alara stepped closer, unwavering. "You are not a monster," she said softly. "You are not your curse. You are Riken, the man who chooses what to become, and I will remind you of that no matter what the curse says." Riken's eyes widened, and for a moment the weight of centuries pressed down on him. The curse tried to seize control, bending him toward a path of destruction. But her words, so human, so simple, cut through the darkness. He could feel it slipping, if only slightly. Why do you stay?" he whispered almost to himself. "Even when you know what waits for you?" "Because," Alara replied, her voice steady, "I believe in you. Not the curse. Not your instincts. You." Her hand brushed against his chest again, directly over the glowing runes. A shock of energy surged through him, but this time it was different. It did not burn. It did not push him toward violence. Instead, it anchored him. A pulse of warmth spread through his body, a rhythm he had not felt in centuries. Riken fell to one knee, panting. The curse throbbed within him like a living storm, but her presence, her courage, was a shield. He had trained his mind to resist enemies, to endure pain, to survive impossible odds, but this was different. This was not survival. This was a test of his soul. I should have left you," he said, voice shaking, "but I could not. The moment I saw you, everything changed. The curse. It knows you and it wants to claim you before I even decide." Alara knelt beside him, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Then let me help you," she said. "We can fight this together. Every moment, every second. I will not leave, not now, not ever." For hours they stayed in the ruins, moving through hallways and chambers that once echoed with the sounds of war. Riken showed her the carvings, the markings left by generations of Varikan who had faced the same curse. Alara read them carefully, understanding the history, the pain, and the lessons that had been forgotten. The curse stirred more aggressively as the twin suns climbed higher in the sky. Riken's claws scraped the stone. His fangs gleamed sharper and his veins glowed crimson with raw energy. It wanted him to strike, to destroy what he loved, to end what he had only just begun to feel. But Alara did not run. She did not scream. She only looked at him with unwavering trust and whispered, "We are stronger than this. You are stronger than this." Her words pierced the ancient darkness within him. For the first time, Riken realized the truth. The curse was not merely a weapon of death. It was a test, an echo of old wars designed to break spirit and resolve. And here was a human who refused to be broken. The hours passed, the suns shifted, and the curse tried everything to claim her. Yet Riken resisted. Every instinct screamed for violence. Every fiber of his being urged him to flee or strike. And yet he stayed. Because the human's courage, her steadfast trust, reminded him of something he had long forgotten. His choice. Finally, the twin suns began to align, casting their full light over the ruins. The curse pulsed violently in Riken's blood, a storm threatening to consume him. He could feel it clawing at his mind, urging him to act on instinct, to kill what he loved. And yet Alara stepped forward, arms open, eyes bright. "Then face me," she said calmly. "If the curse will take me, then it will do so knowing I chose to meet it. I am not afraid." Riken froze mid-step, claws raised, fangs gleaming. Her courage struck him harder than any blade. His body trembled, torn between instinct and choice, between the ancient curse and the bond he was forging. He could feel the runes on his skin flare violently, a signal that the curse had recognized defiance for the first time. For a moment, time seemed to stop. The twin suns blazed in the sky. The ancient walls glowed with the power of the runes. And Riken, a warrior of countless battles, felt helpless, not against an enemy but against his own heart. And then he realized the truth. He did not want to destroy her. He did not want to obey the curse. He wanted to protect her, to stand with her, to face this impossible force together. Ilara reached for him again, her hands warm against his glowing skin. "Trust yourself, Riken," she said. "You are more than the curse. You are more than your instinct. You are the man who can choose." Riken's knees buckled and he sank to the stone floor. The curse roared in his veins, but for the first time he resisted. The glow in his arms faded slightly, and the ancient carvings on the walls pulsed in recognition. Something old, cruel, and relentless was meeting something new, courageous, and unbroken. And somewhere deep in the ruins of Korath Keep, a bond began to form, not just between human and alien, but between courage and hope, choice and destiny. Riken looked at Ilara, fear and awe battling in his eyes. "If I fail," he whispered. "You will not fail," she replied firmly. "We face it together, always together." The twin suns shone down fully, and for the first time in centuries the curse paused, uncertain, tested by a human heart and an alien will united against it. And in that fragile, tense moment, Riken knew one truth: the battle was far from over. The curse was awake. It was dangerous. It was relentless. But together, perhaps, just perhaps, they could survive it. The twin suns of Verikan Prime blazed high above the ruins of Korath Keep, casting long shadows across jagged stone walls. The air was thick with the tension of something ancient stirring, a force older than any living Verikan. Riken stood in the central chamber, his chest heaving, eyes glowing faint crimson as the curse throbbed in his veins. Ilara stepped beside him, her hand resting lightly on his shoulder. Dust clung to her suit, her hair tangled from hours spent navigating the ruins, but her gaze remained steady. "We face it now," she said softly. "Together!" Riken's claws scraped the stone floor, leaving shallow grooves. The curse screamed inside him, demanding blood, demanding violence. It had been awake for hours, testing him, pushing him toward the inevitable. Every instinct screamed to attack, to destroy what he loved. But he refused. For the first time in his life, he resisted something far older and stronger than any army he had faced. "The curse. It knows you," Riken said, voice low and rough. "It will take you if I do not act." Ilara shook her head, eyes bright. "No, it does not control you. You choose, Riken. You always choose." Riken looked at her, the fire of the twin suns reflecting in his glowing eyes. She was human, fragile compared to him, yet stronger than anyone he had ever met. Her courage had anchored him, and now in the heart of the ruins he understood the truth. The curse was not absolute. It tested strength, courage, and will, and together they had passed its first challenge. The chamber around them began to vibrate. Faint cracks ran along the black stone walls, and ancient runes glowed more brightly than ever. The curse roared inside Riken, pulling at his mind, clawing at his reason. Every fiber of his being wanted to strike, to obey the centuries-old command to destroy. But Riken did not move. He held himself still, feeling the surge of power clash against his determination. His fangs gleamed as he breathed heavily, but he kept his gaze on Ilara. "You must trust yourself," she whispered, reaching for his glowing hands. "Not the curse, not the past. Only yourself." The moment their hands touched, a shock of energy pulsed through Riken's body. This time it was not violent or cruel, it was a test. The curse roared, sensing defiance, yet it could not force him. His veins glowed brighter, then flickered as if confused by his choice. Riken's body trembled, and he sank to one knee. It won't let go," he muttered, voice strained. "I can feel it trying to take everything." Ilara knelt beside him, pressing both hands against his chest. Her touch was warm, steady, and full of confidence. "Then we fight it," she said. "I will not leave you. I will not run. We can face this together, Riken. We will survive it." The twin suns reached their zenith, flooding the chamber with harsh golden light. Riken screamed, a roar born of pain, fear, and desperation, as the curse fought him with all its ancient strength. Claws dug into the stone, fangs bared, veins glowing crimson, yet he stayed. Every scream, every surge of power tested his will. And then something extraordinary happened. The runes carved into the walls pulsed in unison with Riken's heartbeat, glowing brighter, almost alive. The ancient curse recognized that its prey was no longer helpless. Strength met strength, courage met cruelty, and the balance shifted. Alara's voice rang out, steady and unwavering. You are not alone. You are more than your curse. You are Rikan, and we choose life, not death. The words pierced the storm inside him. The curse thrashed, but its force began to falter. Unsure of how to bend one so determined, one so bonded to a human who would not flee, Rikan closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and reached into the depths of his will. He imagined every battle he had fought, every victory, every moment of survival, and he combined them with the courage of the human beside him. The curse screamed in his mind, but he no longer obeyed. He did not strike. He did not lash out. He only focused on the human hand in his, the warm strength in her eyes, and the promise of a choice. Suddenly, a wave of energy exploded from his chest, bright and blinding. The ancient runes along the walls flared, casting golden light across the chamber. The curse's roar became a scream of frustration as it was forced back, weakened. Unable to claim what it had hunted for centuries, Rikan fell forward, gasping, and Alara caught him before he hit the stone floor. Her hands held him steady, grounding him. It's okay, she whispered. It's over. You are free. For the first time in centuries, Rikan felt the weight of the curse lift. The crimson veins faded from his skin. The glowing markings vanished, and the ancient energy that had haunted him for so long dissipated. The chamber was silent except for the sound of their breathing. He looked at Alara, disbelief and awe in his eyes. It's gone? He asked, voice trembling. She smiled softly. Yes, it's gone. You fought it. We fought it. Together. Rikan touched her face gently, his fingers trembling. The warmth of her skin, the courage in her eyes, and the steady presence beside him, all of it felt real. He had feared loss, feared that the curse would claim her, and yet here she was, alive, whole, unbroken. I don't know how to thank you, he said quietly. You risked everything. You faced me when the curse could have destroyed you. Alara shook her head. No thanks. You risked everything too. You resisted it. You chose me. We did this together, Rikan. That's what matters. The twin suns began their descent, casting long shadows through the ruins. Rikan stood slowly, feeling strength return to his body, but more importantly, feeling hope awaken in his heart. The curse that had hunted his people for centuries had been broken, not by force, but by courage, trust, and choice. They walked together through the crumbling halls, hand in hand. The ruins, once symbols of death and despair, now seemed alive with possibility. The carvings on the walls pulsed faintly, as if acknowledging the bond that had defied centuries of ancient power. Rikan paused at the edge of the central chamber, looking out over the jagged mountains of Verican Prime. I never thought I would feel this, he admitted. I thought my life was only about war and survival. I never imagined love could be stronger than a curse. Alara squeezed his hand. It is, she said simply. Love, courage, trust, they are stronger than any curse, any war, any enemy. And now we know it together. For the first time, Rikan allowed himself to smile faintly yet sincerely. He looked at the human who had faced his fangs, the human who had walked beside him in the darkest moments of his life, and he realized that his world had changed forever. The twin suns dipped toward the horizon, bathing the ruins in a golden glow. Rikan turned to Alara, his eyes soft but alive. We have survived, he said. The curse is broken, and now we have a future. Alara nodded, tears of relief in her eyes. A future together, she said. They stood there side by side as the sun set. The ruins of Korath Keep, once haunted by centuries of fear and power, now seemed peaceful, almost alive. The curse that had haunted generations of Verakan was gone, and in its place, something new had taken root. Hope, trust, and the bond between a human and an alien warrior, forged in courage and defiance, stronger than any ancient power. Rikan gently took her face in his hands, lips brushing against hers in a quiet promise. We will face everything together, he whispered. Alara smiled, resting her forehead against his. Always, she replied. And as the stars began to shine over Verakan Prime, a new chapter began, not of curses and fear, but of courage, love, and a bond that could never be broken. The alien who had been cursed to kill his mate had found her, not in submission but in strength, and together they had changed the fate of two worlds forever.